All right. Welcome back, everybody. I'm seeing some folks filter in now. I know sessions are just wrapping up. I'm going to give it about 30 seconds at least till we get started so that folks can get in. All right, well, I'm going to just go ahead and kick off this brief closing session. We just wanted a chance to circle back and be with all of you. For those of you who I haven't yet met today, again, I'm Lori Kirsta Joseph. I'm the Workforce Development Chair for COABE, and I am thrilled to, it's just been a really exciting day. I'm really grateful that all of you have spent time with us today. I think there's been some really incredible discussions. Truly the meeting of the minds that we had envisioned. So I'm thrilled to have had today go as well as it has. So thank you all for all of your contributions to that. We have a few closing remarks before I wrap up with a laundry list of thank yous. I think for this one, I'm handing this over to my co-chair, Stephanie Rittberger, who has been co-chairing and will be taking over for me for the Workforce Development Chair. Stephanie, do you want to say a little bit about the upcoming conference?
I sure do. I want to invite everyone to attend. After the 6 hours of really robust conversation today, I think it will give you a good taste of what the workforce development strand might be at our national conference. And so if you got the kind of information that you think would be relevant to your situation, please come and join us in Seattle, Washington, April 11th through the 13th. It's being held at the Washington State Conference Center. And I'll just say, remember to get your registrations in. It pulls on our heartstrings if you get it done before Valentine's Day, because you'll get the early bird rates for conference registration. So make sure you get this done and make sure that you join us. It's in person and virtual. And I heard a little earlier today that about 85% of the information will be available digitally. So just keep that in mind. You'll have lots and lots to talk about.
Thanks, Stephanie. I'm really excited for this conference coming up and for continuing the dialogue from today's conversation. Stephanie was one of our planners for today, as is our next guest. I'd like to welcome up Judy Mortrud to share a little bit about the Digital Equity Act.
Thank you. Yes, just really quickly, I wanted to flag for everybody a great opportunity coming soon to your state. The Digital Equity Act of 2021 is included in that bipartisan infrastructure bill that just passed the House last week. And as Amanda's research has shown us, digital literacy, digital skills are part of all levels of work and all levels of what is needed for employers and employees. So this $2.75 billion investment will direct funds to states to build digital equity, digital inclusion, especially with what are called covered populations in the law, and that includes people with language barriers. We just need to make sure that those state plans remember frontline workers and immigrants and new Americans across their roles as employees, as family members, as community members. So be on the lookout for much more about this great opportunity ahead.
Thank you, Judy, for that reminder, and again for all of your support as well with the planning for today. Now I think I'd like to welcome up Anson and I think Selena to just remind us of ways in which we can engage with this work from today. Do we have Anson on?
I'm here.
Perfect.
I'm panting from my previous session that I just bounced out of 30 seconds ago. So I'm thrilled to be here and close this day out. I swear this has been just action-packed with fantastic sessions. And I want to thank COABE and everyone that helped put this together. Here's one thing we were talking about in our last session, and it is research and best practices. The COABE Journal is probably the single best publication to help build our capacity. I wrote for it myself. You can see my copy right here. If you can see it on my screen, it didn't come through yet well, but we really praise this in the field because it does bring best practices from the front line, from researchers from a wide variety And these editions on workforce literacy have just been instrumental in really helping lift the research base. Workplace literacy just does not have a lot of research. So if you're a researcher out there, let's get to work on that one. We've got, I think, a 10-to-1 ratio when it comes to research on IETs compared to workplace literacy, maybe 20-to-1. So we got to really build that capacity. The next slide I would really say is to close out this discussion on the huge focus on behind every employer. My gosh, so thrilled to get this up and running. And we've got to build this workforce together, employers, adult education, and workforce providers. And behind every employer is this nexus where we can kind of help do this together and help our country, help our communities, and help our adult learners and workers thrive. So your next steps are, first off, join that Behind Every Employer campaign. Get on the map. Be the one in your community that is the one saying yes to working with businesses, because when you work with businesses, you're working on behalf of adult learners who want to get out of poverty and want to do something fantastic with their lives in America and in their lives in the workforce. Go download a copy of the Workforce Journal and read about best practices and get on that locator map. And I really want to hear how that grows over the next few days and months as we really grow this capacity. And for sure, apply for a workforce incentive grant. But you can only do that if you're on the locator map. So get on that map, and then you can be eligible for this fantastic resource, the incentive grant. Thank you.
Well, Anson, I'll just chime in and say that locator map has been growing all day, which is fantastic. And I think that's due in large part to all the fantastic participants and presenters who are clearly committed to expanding their reach with employers, which in turn obviously expands our opportunities for adult learners and job seekers. Also, when you go to join the movement site, there is a free toolkit. I want to mention that as well. You can download it, get your logo as a proud partner of the campaign on your website. That will help us with cross promotion for the big ad campaign. And there's a lot of resources there as well. And then we're really looking forward on the next slide to the incentive grant. We hope we hear from a lot of people about already what you are doing in employer engagement. The purpose of this grant, again, is to really accelerate an existing employer engagement promising practice. And the grantee will receive over $15,000 in technical assistance and award monies to deploy a localized Behind Every Employer campaign. So that includes digital ads, website, and everything behind it. So we get really excited to work with you on that. So thanks so much for today.
And Lori, I just wanted to chime in real quickly here for two quick things. And one was I wanted to mention, going back to the journal, that Judy Mortude has long been the content editor for the COABE journal. So thank you, Judy, for that. We really took it from a research-based, built just for research, to practitioner-based buy-in for our members. So when you see that new slant on it, Judy Mortude has had a really big part in that. So thank you, Judy, for that. We appreciate you. You are wonderful. And I also wanted to say I had asked Amanda Berkson-Shilcock to say a few words. She's a wonderful partner and friend there at the National Skills Coalition. So Amanda, I wanted to give you a few minutes to say a few words here.
Thanks so much, Sharon. First of all, I just want to acknowledge Sharon and the extraordinary leadership of COABE in putting together today's event. This event didn't need to happen. This was an idea that Sharon and her team conceived and found the funding to support and got the partners to invest in, and then really put together the amazing array of speakers that we heard from. I mean, just kicking off this morning with that amazing panel was particularly notable. And I just want to acknowledge that and how much work went into this behind the scenes. So I also want to acknowledge Lori and the planning team who worked so hard on putting this together. I want to go back to two key themes that we've heard over and over again. And the first is making sure that adult education is not hiding its light under a bushel, right? How do we make sure that our partners in the WIOA Title I system, our employer partners and others, know who we are and what we're capable of? And that legislation that Judy just talked about, the Digital Equity Act that's part of the new infrastructure bill, is another great way to make that happen. Your state will be getting money from the federal government, and adult education can be written in from the very beginning as a key partner in helping your state help adults build their digital literacy skills. So there are many opportunities to get adult ed out in front of others, but that's a key one that I hope you'll all pay attention to in the months to come. The second thing I want to emphasize is the importance of campaigns like the Behind Every Employer campaign. So making sure that the work that you're already doing has good national visibility is really important. Getting yourself on that locator map. I know the link was dropped in to the chat earlier, so you can make sure to add your organization or update your listing if you're already listed and have to make a couple tweaks. So that's really important. And if you have something that you're proud of, as Anson was saying, write about it. Write about it for the COABE Journal and document the good workplace literacy that you're already engaging in, so that employers in other parts of the country, and even some in your own hometowns and states, can find out about the interesting and innovative models that you all are implementing. I would be remiss if I didn't also acknowledge it has been a really tough year and a half. The pandemic and everything associated with it have put unprecedented strains on adult education programs. So I want to acknowledge that the last thing that I'm emphasizing here is that if you feel pulled in too many directions with too many things, pick one thing and make sure you commit to actually doing that one thing. Whether it's building that new employer partnership, submitting that article to the COABE Journal, making sure you're listed on the locator map, whatever it is, pick that one thing and make sure that one thing actually gets done. We at National Skills Coalition are very glad to be partnering with COABE on federal advocacy and otherwise. I know you'll be hearing more from us in future webinars and partnerships, so I'll turn things back over to Sharon now.
Thank you so much, Amanda. Really appreciate the partnership of National Skills Coalition and supporting each other in advocacy work and professional development in so many other ways. So thank you for that. And I'm going to turn this over to Lori Kirsten Joseph to close us out.
Thank you so much, everyone. I just have a lot to thank, a lot of people to thank after today. First and foremost, I want to thank Sharon, Bonnie, and the COABE team. They are amazing, making all of this run so smoothly. You guys move mountains and do it with making it look like it's just easy. So thank you, Sharon, and all of your team. I'd like to thank the sponsors for today, who made this all possible so that we could all come together in this venue for free to get so many of us to the table to share best practices. And big thanks to the partner organizations, many of whom had folks on this planning team, right? So thank you, Amanda Berkson Shilcock, Judy Mortrude, Anson Green, Selena Shands, Stephanie Rittberger, and from National Governors Association, Rachel Hirsch. I hope I'm not missing anyone else, and the workforce development team for building the idea of today and then making it happen. We really couldn't have done it without all of you. And then finally, all of you attendees and the presenters. We had some amazing voices who came today to share their expertise and best practices. And I look forward to the ways in which we can continue this dialogue and continue to learn from and with one another. Thanks again, everybody.
Thanks so much.